Your life as a geisha, what it's like to be every level of the woman the world thinks it understands hook. They're all looking at you. Not the way men look at women on the street. Not with wanting or with carelessness. With something more focused than either of those things. With the particular attention that only exists when something rare has entered the room. You are 23 years old. You are wearing 14 layers of silk. Your face is white from forehead to collarbone. Your lips are painted the color of a wound. Your obi is tied so tightly you learned years ago to breathe differently. Shallower control from the top of the chest only. The room is a private banquet hall in Kyoto's Gion district. 12 men, ministers, a former prime minister, one man whose name does not appear in any newspaper, but whose presence causes the others to sit slightly straighter. They have paid 400,000 yen for this evening. Not for anything they could explain to their wives. For this. For the atmosphere you create simply by existing in a room with a particular quality of attention you've spent 15 years learning to project. You pour sake into the nearest cup without spilling a single drop. You smile at exactly the right moment. You say exactly the right thing. And every man in the room believes, completely, privately, incorrectly, that the smile was for him alone. That is the art. That is the power. And you build it one brutal year at a time. Stay until level 8. Because the thing nobody tells you about reaching the top of this world, it costs something you don't know you're paying until it's already gone. And I want to know in the comments, do you think this kind of power is real power? Or is it the most sophisticated cage ever built? Drop it below. Let's go. Level 1, the errand girl. You are 8 years old, and you carry tea. The Okiya, the geisha house, smells like cedar and white powder and something floor you won't identify for years. It is a narrow wooden building in Gion. 3 stories. Paper screens and dark polished floors that you are required to keep clean with a cloth and your own hands on your knees every morning before the older women wake. Your title is Minarai-san. It means, roughly, one who learns by watching. You don't perform. You don't speak to guests unless spoken to. You observe. You absorb. You carry things from one room to another and you bow at the correct angle. 30 degrees for senior geisha. 45 for the Okasan, the house mother, who runs everything and misses nothing. The Okasan is a small woman in her 50s named Fujimoto-san. She has not performed in 12 years, but she controls every appointment, every fee, every relationship in this house with the quiet authority of someone who long ago stopped needing to explain herself. The first rule of the Okiya, you owe the house everything. Your kimono, your training, your food, your lodging. All of it is being paid for by the house, and all of it will be repaid through your future earnings. The debt begins accumulating the day you arrive. You don't understand this yet. You're 8. You carry the tea. You watch. You bow. You sleep in a small room with 2 other girls your age. One of them cries at night for first month. Then she stops. You don't ask why she stopped. You already know. Comment below. How old were you when you first realized the system had rules that nobody wrote down? That moment when you understood the game without being told? Tell me. Level 2, the apprentice. At 12, you become a shikomi, a formal apprentice of the house. Your days are now scheduled in 30-minute increments from 5 in the morning until 11 at night. Dance class, tea ceremony, shamisen, the 3-string instrument you will practice until your fingertips stop hurting, which takes 14 months. Flower arrangement, calligraphy, the art of conversation, which is its own formal discipline with its own teacher, its own rules, its own examinations. You are being built, not educated. Built the way a blade is built. Heated, shaped, cooled, heated again, the impurities beaten out over time until what remains is something with a single purpose executed with perfect precision. Your Okasan watches your progress with the same expression she uses for everything. Neutral, assessing, long-term. She is not cruel. She is not kind. She is accurate. When your shamisen technique is wrong, she tells you it is wrong. When it improves, she says nothing. Silence is approval. You learn to want silence. The older geisha in the house are called Wanisan, older sisters. You are assigned one. Hers is a name in the district, a reputation built over 15 years. She teaches you the specific walk, The figure-8 pattern of the feet in wooden sandals. The particular way the body moves, so the kimono seems to float rather than swing. You practice this walk for 3 hours a day for 6 months. Your feet bleed for the first 2 months. Then they stop bleeding. You think that means something has improved. You're right. Something has. You're just not sure if it's your feet or your capacity to accept pain without registering it as important. Level 3, the Maiko. At 15, you become a Maiko, a dancing girl, a geisha in training. This is the first time you appear publicly. Your face is painted white for the first time in ceremony. The Okiya applies it herself, which means something in the hierarchy of the house. Rice powder base, layers of white, the red at the lips applied in a specific pattern that varies by rank. As a new Maiko, only your lower lip is painted. Both lips come later. You earn your lips. Your first obi is tied by your Wani-san's hands. It will be tied by someone else's hands every single day of your working life because you cannot tie it yourself. The knot is too complex, too specific. Position at your back where your own arms cannot reach. You are dressed by others. Every day, without exception. You understand, standing in front of the mirror for the first time in full costume, that you have become something. Not someone. Something. A figure. An aesthetic. A moving piece of art that the district has been producing for 300 years before you and will produce for 300 years after. Your name is not your name anymore. Your Okiya gives you your geisha name in a private ceremony. It incorporates a character from your Wani-san's name. That's the tradition, the lineage, the visible signal of which branch of which house you belong to. The name is yours now. The other name, the one your mother used, becomes something you keep privately, like a key to a room you no longer visit. Your first banquet is overwhelming .12 strangers. The noise, the expectation. You pour sake. You answer questions with a deflecting warmth you've been trained to deploy. You make a joke that lands. A man laughs a real laugh. Surprise out him, and your Wani-san catches your eye across the room and gives the smallest nod. You walk home at midnight on aching feet and feel something you haven't felt since you arrived at the Okiya. Capable. Level 4, the geisha. At 19, you complete your formal debut as a full geisha. The Misadashi ceremony. The final painting. The changing of the collar from red to white. Red for Maiko, white for geisha. The color shift that marks the crossing of a threshold that cannot be uncrossed. You are now a professional. The fees you command are listed in the district's private registry. Per hour. Per banquet, per appearance at a private event. The numbers are not discussed openly. You don't discuss them either. But you know what you cost now, and you know what that number means about your position in the hierarchy. The rule at level 4, you are the product and the artist simultaneously. This sounds contradictory. It isn't. The product is the atmosphere you generate. The specific combination of beauty, wit, cultural mastery, and emotional intelligence that transforms a room of powerful men into something softer, more open, more willing to enjoy themselves. The artist is the person who produces an atmosphere through skill, not accident. Most people who look at you see only the product. You have learned to be comfortable with that. Not happy, comfortable. The ozashiki, the banquet engagements, have patterns now. You can read a room within 4 minutes. You know which man needs to be the center of attention, and which man wants to watch from the side. You know which joke works for the politician, and which works for the businessman. You know how to make every person in a 12-person room feel individually attended to while attending to all of them simultaneously. This is not performance. This is engineering. You clear the equivalent of 800,000 yen in a single month, and none of it is yours yet. It goes to the house, to the debt, to the ongoing cost of maintenance and training. You won't see direct profit for years. You knew this when you were 8. You've accepted it in the way you've accepted the obi, tied by others, impossible to undo alone. Question for comments. Is this a career or a trap? Or is the difference between those two things just how much you chose it? Tell me what you think. Level 5, the name. At 22, your name travels without you. You don't have to be in the room for your name to affect the room. Men request you specifically. Not a geisha, you. Invitations come through the Okiya addressed to your name with a specific character that marks your lineage. Waiting list form. A new client waits 4 months for a booking. For months, you are still the same person who bled through wooden sandals at 12. The feet don't hurt anymore. Nothing hurts the way it used to. That's the trade you made so gradually you never had a moment of making it. The rules shift at level 5 in ways that aren't written anywhere. You start to understand who the real clients are, not the ones who pay the standard fee for a banquet appearance, but the patrons, the Dana, the men who invest in a geisha's career in exchange for an exclusive relationship whose terms are never stated explicitly and never need to be. A man approaches through the Okasan. His name means something in the city. He is 61. He is interested in becoming your Dana. The Okasan presents it to you with the neutral face she uses for everything. You have 48 hours to decide. You sit with it. You think about what yes means, about what no means, about the debt still remaining from 14 years of training and silk and white powder, about the acceleration that a Dana's patronage would create, the gifts, the kimono that costs more than a car, the introduction into rooms you currently cannot access. You think about the door this opens. You don't think about the door it closes. You say yes. You believe it's the practical decision. You're right. Level 6, the fixture. You are 26, and you are part of the architecture of the city. Not famous. Geisha are not famous in the way that word is commonly understood. You don't appear on television. Your face is not on anything. But in specific rooms, the private dining rooms of specific Ryodii restaurants, the banquet halls where significant decisions are made before they're announced publicly, your presence is as expected and as load-bearing as the walls. You have trained 2 Maiko of your own now. You are their Wanisan. You watch them the way your Wanisan watched you, neutral, assessing, accurate. When their technique is wrong, you tell them. When it improves, you say nothing. You hear yourself using your Okasan silences. You don't stop. The information that passes through an Ozashiki is extraordinary. Not secrets. Nobody confesses state secrets in a banquet hall. But the texture of power. Who defers to whom? Who is afraid of whom? Which alliance is strained? Which man is overconfident? Which deal is closer to falling apart than the public face suggests? You collect this information the way you collect nothing, passively, continuously, without appearing to. You never use it directly. You don't need to. Knowing changes how you move in a room. Knowing who is actually powerful versus who performs power changes every interaction. You began as someone who created atmosphere. You have become someone who understands the atmosphere she's creating it inside. That's a different kind of intelligence. Your Dana has been replaced. The first relationship concluded after 3 years, gracefully, with gifts, with the mutual understanding that these arrangements have natural lifespans. The second patron is a different kind of man, younger, more restless, more interested in you as a person than as an art form, which is both flattering and inconvenient. You manage the inconvenience. You've learned that management is most of the work. Level 7, the keeper. At 30, you are one of perhaps a dozen women in Kyoto at your level. The district knows a number. Everybody knows a number. There are more Maiko, more junior geisha, more women at every lower tier of the system. But at this tier, the tier where a single booking influences which restaurant gets which clientele, where your presence in event signals that the event matters, there are fewer than 12. You are the system now in a way you weren't before. Your Okasan is 70. She runs the house with the same neutral accuracy she always has, but she is teaching you, slowly and without announcing it, how to run it yourself. Not by explaining, by including you in the calculations, by letting you see the ledger, by asking your opinion on a new girl's prospects and then, silently, with the expression you know perfectly, telling you whether you were right. You are almost always right now. You think about the girl who cried at night in the first weeks. She left after 2 years, went home, married, has children you've heard, an ordinary life by any standard. You don't envy her. You don't not envy her. You've stopped asking yourself which it is. The asking doesn't help, and the answer doesn't change anything. Your geisha name appears in a cultural preservation document filed with the city, a record of living practitioners of traditional arts. Your name, not your birth name, your name is in a government archive. The system has absorbed you so completely that it has made you permanent. You are 30 years old, and you are already history. Level 8, the living art. There are no levels above this. You know this not because someone told you, but because you've been in every room this world contains, and there are no rooms left that feel new. You are 38. You have been in this world for 30 years. 30 years of white powder and wooden sandals, and a specific breathing pattern of the tightly tied obi. 30 years of rooms full of powerful men who believed, each one privately, each one incorrectly, that your attention was personal. It was always professional, even when it felt personal. To them, sometimes to you, it was a product of a craft so refined that it became indistinguishable from the real thing. That is the achievement. That is also what it cost. You run the Okiya now. Fujimoto-sen died 2 years ago, quietly in her room, in the same house she ran for 40 years. You were there. You held her hand. She looked at you with the neutral, accurate face she always used, and you understood it was not coldness. It was the face of a woman who had given everything to a system and found, at the end, that the system had given her something back. Permanence. Meaning. A lineage. You wear her silences now. You have 4 Maiko and 2 junior geisha under your care. You watch them with accurate, neutral eyes. You tell them when they're wrong. You say nothing when they improve. There are evenings after the last engagement when you sit in the dressing room alone, before the powder comes off, still in full costume. The mirror shows you the geisha, the art, the construction, the 15 layers of meaning. Under the powder is a face almost nobody in this world has seen plainly. You stopped missing that face a long time ago, or you stopped noticing that you missed it. By this level, you can't always locate the difference. The city has changed around you. The number of geisha in Kyoto drops every decade. The younger women choose other paths. The rooms that needed what you provided are fewer now. The system is still here, ancient, structured, internally consistent, but the world outside it is less interested than it was. You don't panic. You have never panicked. You adapt. You always adapt. The art adapts. It has been adapting for 300 years and will adapt for 300 more, long past the point where any individual within it is remembered. That is the only immortality available here. Not your name, not your face. The art, the system, the thing that continues after you step out of it. You sit in the dressing room. The powder will come off soon. You are not in any hurry. The cycle continues. Somewhere in Gion tonight, a car pulls up outside a narrow wooden building. A girl of 9 steps out. Small bag. New shoes that are already wrong for this place. She looks up at the building with the expression children carry when they are standing at the threshold of something enormous that they cannot yet measure. The door opens. A woman in a house kimono looks at her with neutral, accurate eyes. The girl bows. 30 degrees. Someone taught her this much, at least. She steps inside. She doesn't know about the walk that will be practiced until it's unconscious. She doesn't know about the name that will replace her name. She doesn't know about the debt that begins tonight and the years required to repay it. She thinks she is going to learn to dance. She is going to learn much more than that. And one day, if the system decides she is worth keeping, she will sit in a dressing room at 38 with powder on her face and a house in her name and a silence she inherited from women she loved and outlasted. She doesn't know any of that yet. The door closes behind her. The house receives her. And the system, 300 years old, patient, precise, and larger than any single person inside it, continues exactly as it always has. That's what it costs. Every level, every year, every room. Now I need your answer in the comments, level 5. When she says yes to the Dana, was that her choice? Or had the system already made the choice for her and she just signed it? Real question. I want to know what you think. And if this hit you somewhere real, subscribe, because we have more worlds to walk through, and none of them are simple. See you in the next one.